church up in Greenville County, South Carolina. I'm here as a friend to the family, a friend to everyone that is a part of this beautiful tribute to a lifelong. I do want us to stand right now before I pray and recite the Lord's Prayer, the Psalm 23 together, if you don't mind. If you'll stand as we do this. I believe the family is going to come and make remarks at this time.
You can go first, yeah.
Welcome everybody, and thank you for being here. I know you're probably wondering why I chose the song Keep Your Hands to Yourself. It's kind of a rock song and kind of unconditional, but back in, I guess it was 83 or 84, the band that plays this song actually came to my grandfather's property, and my brother was in the video, my aunts, my uncles, and so it kind of meant something to us as a family and for her. And then with my brother being one that passed away, it just seemed fitting to have something in his honor as well as hers. Yeah, he was a little baby in that one. When you see somebody every day, you don't realize the impact they make in people's lives. And I didn't realize until she passed away, when I got all the comments and messages of people I didn't even know that she even talked to, of how kind she was and how much that she would just talk to them, and she always said she didn't have enough friends, but I don't think she realized how many people she actually had. And hopefully she can see with all of that she made big impacts in people's lives that she didn't even know. And yeah, she may have annoyed us, and we may have complained about the phone calls constantly. And she'll call and say, I have an emergency, and you're like, what's your emergency? I have a lizard in my house. Or her phone doesn't ring anymore. Or she can't get Hulu to work. But she loved, and she loved with a big heart. And she didn't care what child you were. If you were a child and you came into our house, she loved you. And she cared about you. And she would do anything for you. When we started fostering, she didn't care. She said, what kids are coming, who are coming, how old are they? And she just loved them from day one. And when we have adopted Addison and Mason and Roslyn, she shared with everybody, and I didn't even know, people on Facebook, she shared with them that my grandkids, they're actually legally ours now. And when I told her Cameron was coming, she said the first day, she's like, when's my grandson getting here? When's he getting here? And it wasn't even completely official. That's the type of heart my mom had. I don't really know what else to say. But hopefully she's made an impact in y'all's lives like she's made in everybody else's. And yeah, I miss those phone calls of her little emergencies that aren't really emergencies. But I know she's in a better place, and she can breathe and not struggle anymore. And she's with my brother, and she's with my grandmother. And for that, I'm super jealous because I want their hugs again. But thank y'all for coming.
I apologize, it's gonna be a little long. Whether you knew her as Lulu or Lyndie, the impression of her southern charm, witty, funny, and sweet character traits was also something that stuck with you. Now, most of you know her before I was born, which I view as AC or BC before Cheyenne. But I want to talk about AC, which is after Cheyenne. About all the long, crazy adventures or something she came up with. So I just wanted to highlight the stories of Cheyenne times. I'm pretty sure most of you saw how much Granny and her probably fought over me when I was the first grandchild and great-grandchild. But that didn't stop me from remembering all the adventures that we got into. Starting off with my obsession with Channel 2 Action News when I was 5. For those of you who don't know, that's the Atlanta-based news channel. And I fully believed that I was a reporter. And asking my Uncle Richard at the ripe age of 5 if he had ever raped anybody, not knowing what it meant. Lou never let me live that one down. I probably traumatized my Uncle Richard. I'm sure that man probably never forgot that. Or the time we were leaving Granny's and I screamed bloody murder because there was a gnat trying to eat me. And the gnat was very scary to my little 5-year-old self. Or the time I shouted in the middle of Kroger that I wanted a blue margarita, just like Ashlyn. Boy, that day, and the looks that she got, I'm pretty sure she was traumatized more than Uncle Richard at that point. But even though her and I, as I grew up, got into some trouble every now and then, we were truly partners in crime. Because obviously, when my parents or Nani would say no to me, who else would I call to get what I wanted? My grandma, obviously. And she did tell me now, no, sorry, excuse me. I don't even think that word was in her vocabulary when it came to me. And from taking me to Steak and Shake to the middle of the night, or taking me swimming every day at the Alpharetta community pool, we had fun. As I got older and became an active rainbow girl, she was already there when she was always there when I could buy a new dress or whatever stuff I obviously needed for my new obsession at the time. And when I was in high school and discovered Broadway shows and alternative and rock music, even though my parents would still say no, I would make one phone call, and sure enough, it magically would happen. And even during those times, I would try to get the whole family to go because while I didn't like to say no, I wasn't a monster. I wanted everybody to have fun. She was deemed the snack lady in high school, especially when I started working with the football team. That meant even when she didn't feel like leaving the house, she would grumble, but she would still get me the food that I was feeling that day. Even at dinners, she would often forget where her fork was, not literally. But she would be holding the fork while we were talking and forget that she had the fork in her hand, and she would try to reach for the other fork because she couldn't figure out that she lost her fork. But the fork was still in her hand, if that makes sense. Or my favorite is I used to love to blurt out random noises. Usually it was a scare tactic for me to do to her. And one time while she was smoking, the window was down. And she was talking to me. Well, let's just say I really traumatized an unsuspecting lady who was walking by. I never lived that one down either. Then, of course, when my siblings who were being fostered at the time, even though she was iffy about getting too close, not because she wasn't sure, she wasn't comfortable with them, it was because we had so many children go back home or get moved from our house. So how hard it was, and how hard of a lover she was. I lost my place. She wasted no time loving them unconditionally as much as she loved me. And I often didn't realize how much she loved me till she started giving them the same love. One of my favorites is when she would go to the doctor or the hospital, and it didn't matter who it was, she would introduce me as her birthday present. And how my parents had me for her and not for them. Because she was already done and wanted a crazy life, and or the time I would get in trouble, or if I got in trouble, she said that she would take the fall for me. And because she was already done and had a crazy life, so she was okay going to jail because I had a whole life ahead of me, and she said she was already done. When I eventually started learning how to drive, she was the person who taught me. And even though we would be a mile away from a stop sign or a red light, it was always, Cheyenne, are you gonna stop? Like, Cheyenne, are you gonna stop? And I would be like, yes, Lulu. Or the time I was driving with her in Atlanta the first time, and she told me just to close my eyes and go. Because that's what she did. I never did that, for anybody wondering. Or the time,
That makes sense.
she would never let me live this one down. I did a 45-mile-an-hour U-turn on Clemson Boulevard. And if any of you have been up to Anderson, South Carolina, it's the busiest stretch of road in the city. Despite all my mess ups while learning how to drive, she taught me as well as she could, and I would say I'm a good driver. Some may think otherwise, but I haven't wrecked yet. Were the countless times we would go somewhere, and this woman would try to get Min's number for Ross and I, just because we thought we thought they were cute. She knew no fear of anything. So when I eventually went on to graduate high school and then college, along with my mom, and her health started declining a bit more rapidly, and she would go to the hospital, she'd ask me if I really loved my boyfriend, and he was the man I planned to marry. Because her nurse or doctor was attractive, and they made more money, and the money that was needed to afford me. Because my family would say I'm a tad bit high maintenance. I have no idea what made them think that, because Granny and Lou definitely did not give me everything I wanted. And she denied it just like I will, because that did not happen. Eventually, when her vision started to get worse due to the cataracts, she tried to use voice to text. And let me tell you, smartphones do not speak Southern. And sometimes I would have to call her about 10 different times to decipher what she wanted. I'll give you an example. She texted me one day and said, I need an equestrian. And it was not, in fact, an equestrian she needed. It was an eye doctor. Now, how I was supposed to know that is beyond me. But her wit and outrageous ideas definitely didn't stop as she got older. If anything, I think her and Sable, the dog, would just sit there and conspire on what crazy things they could come up with today. Like her trying to convince me that we were going to take a day trip, and it was only 18 hours. There and back, and we could just sleep in the car to save money. And what about gas? And she said, well, I have quarters. She never failed to keep us on our toes or really scratch our head and wondering the thought process behind one of the ideas that she had. Despite all the crazy adventures, she never failed in making me and everyone around her know how much she loved us. And even if it took us 6 months to accomplish, she appreciated it. She will forever be remembered as my biggest supporter and my Lulu. I love you and forever and always, your favorite brown-eyed girl.
Anybody else? Is there anyone else? I'm sitting here watching Colton. It brought back a lot of memories. A lot of memories. I've long said that the reason for a funeral is not for the one who is gone. We know she's going to be with the Lord. But it's for those of us who are left behind. A day when we can share memories from days gone by. A day when we can share laughter and we can share tears. A day when we can support each other. So today is the day to start that healing process. As we begin the celebration of a life lived and a legacy left behind. As Christians, we know that she is fully healed. No more suffering. No more pain. No more struggling for breath. She's dancing in the streets of gold with those that have traveled on before her. I can honestly say I don't believe I ever met Lyndie, but I've known her family through the Order of the Eastern Star for 40 plus years. Margaret Ann, her mother, and Nancy, her aunt, were members of Chambly 362 Eastern Star. Carol, good to see you here. As my grandmother would have said, Lyndie came from good stock. Lyndie was so much more than we see written on the pages of a newspaper or a bulletin, an obituary notice trying to capture her life. She was a daughter. She was a sister. She was a mother. She was a grandmother. She was a cousin. She was an aunt. She was all of the things that a woman should be. She was a part of an extended family under the umbrella of the Masonic fraternity. And it is this point that I believe we're going to have another song, and that I want to call on the Order of the Eastern Star to do their portion of this program.
Sisters and brothers, we have gathered here to pay love's tribute to our sister, Lyndie Bailey, who has passed into the fullness of immortal life and now abides in the mercy and care of our Heavenly Father. We come together in loving sympathy, faith, and hope. In sympathy, our hearts are joined in acknowledgement of sacred ties now severed and of memories tenderly cherished. In faith, we state our firm assurance that if our earthly house of this tabernacle were dissolved, we have a building of God, a house not made with hands, eternal in heavens. In hope, we recall the words of Christ, "In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you, and if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there you may also be." Let us unite in prayer. In this hour of darkness, there is a sure light that shines upon the pathway of life. It comes from the loving care of our Father, whose star of hope continues to shine in the darkness of our grief. Sisters and brothers, as we stand in this solemn presence, may we hear the voice of our Heavenly Father speaking to us. Listening to him, we may learn that life is not in vain. Its fruits are the mercy of chance or the ravages of time. Our God is just. We know that as our sister was faithful to her convictions of right and duty, she was obedient to the demands of honor and justice, she was loyal to kindred and friends, and she was guided by the trustful faith in the hour of trial. As she lived in the spirit of charity and love of truth, so shall be her reward. We walk by faith, not by sight. Sustained by this faith, may we go from this place of mourning and its our reflection with the inspiration of a new hope and earnest purpose for our lives.
The emblems and symbols of our order teach us many useful and impressive lessons, and come to us at this time with increased meaning. The true and lasting value of life becomes extra cherished in the face of death. The sisters of our order, who represent the distinguished heroines of our order, present their tributes as offerings of sisterly affection. Their voices can often be heard in the several points of our star, and in the ritual of our order, they symbolize the virtues which should adorn our lives.
Blue symbolizes fidelity and is appropriate to Jeffrey's daughter, who, in the morning of life, surrendered to the grave the brightest of earthly hopes that she might be faithful to her convictions of right and preserve her father's honor. The blue ray of the star shines here to remind us of her fidelity and love.
Yellow symbolizes constancy, teaching faithful obedience to the demands of honor and justice. Ruth exemplified these virtues in humble station and sought the society of the good and true. The yellow ray of our star shines here to teach us to be constant, steadfast, and true. White symbolizes light, purity, and joy. The heroic Queen Esther evinced the purity of her motive and love of kindred and friends by her willing to risk the loss of crown and life to save her people from death. The white ray of our star shines here to teach us to be loyal to our kindred and friends and to our God.
Green is an emblem of nature's life and beauty. The evergreen is a symbol of immortal life and teaches us that in the economy of God there is no death. Forms change, but the soul remains. Martha, by the grave of her beloved brother, affirmed her trustful faith and hope for immortal life. The green ray of our star shines here to assure us of our sister's entrance into a glorious immortality.
Red symbolizes fervency and zeal. Elector represents those who have been impotent in charity, and heroic in endurance under the wrongs of persecution. The red ray of our star shines here to symbolize the fervency of our love for our sister and our love for us.
It is not in vain that we hear the oft-repeated lessons of our star. These beautiful flowers are the highest expressions of nature's loveliness, yet they are but dim reflections of the glories that may be unfolded to our spiritual vision. We have but to keep the faith, and we too shall join the loved ones gone before us. Let us unite in prayer.
And this was a part of her legacy that in turn is left to you. Like I said, she came from good stock. Lyndie and her family, the Sizemores, they were well respected at Shannon because they were so involved in the charitable efforts of the Order of the Eastern Star, and then when she joined Al Ansar Temple and the Daughters of the Nile, for the same reason, to support the many charities that these fraternal Masonic affiliations give us the opportunity in service. When the matriarch of a family departs, it takes a moment sometimes to figure out just where we're going. Nancy, as Lyndie's aunt, you represent the maternal line of where she and her sister Donna came from. It was your strength and your love that will be a continued influence on this large family. God has truly blessed you. Chip, as the rock of this family, you remind me a little bit of my own husband, Jay. You are loving, you are giving, you're solid in your faith, and you are that rock for this family. Cheyenne and Jeremiah, You two are the oldest grandchildren and probably understand more of what's happening today as we celebrate the life of your grandmother. It is my prayer that the two of you are able to help the younger ones as they grow and they ask questions about, they'll forget where she is maybe. You'll remind them of who she was. You both have stories that you can tell about your life as children that they won't get to see. But you can share that memory with them. As a child, I remember all the family gatherings at the local funeral home. I didn't fully grasp what was happening until I was older. But the one thing that I did understand was that the time was always filled with laughter. Hard to believe you can laugh in the funeral home, but you can, because you share the memories. You share the life of that person. We're always sad. One reason we should be sad is that we're not there yet. Like I said, she's fully healed. There's times when the tears are going to be shed, whether you're here or there. But there's so much joy in the remembrance of a person that you know lived a life well. As I matured, I began to grasp that it was the joy in those memories. It was the joy and the love that we shared. I've always felt that they had become a part of the many guardian angels that watch over those of us who are left behind. Letha, my heart especially goes out to you. Because like you, I was young when my mother died. My mother turned 61 the day before she passed away. It can be a long and very difficult process for you. You have to reconcile all the emotions you're going to feel. Everything you're feeling now, things you'll feel differently with later, but you'll reconcile all those. I know, because I've been there. And I'm only a phone call away. Proverbs 31 was inspired by the wise utterances which King Lemuel's mother taught him. One of the things that she said to him, "Listen, my child. Child of my womb, listen. Listen. You were the child, the answer to my prayers." Her legacy is left for you to pass on through these verses in Proverbs 31. I'm going to read you verses 25 through 31. She is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come. She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. She watches over the affairs of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children arise and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praises her. Many women do noble things, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Honor her for all that her hands have done, and let her works bring praise to the city gate. The word of God for the people of God.
Thanks be to God.
Proverbs 31 teaches us the kind of women we should be. Strength and dignity does not come from amazing achievements. It comes from our character And Letha, her legacy is now yours to carry on. The blessing in front of you is that you have a strong family that will surround you and support you. One of my favorite hymns was written by Natalie Sleeth in 1986. Back then, that was a new hymn. It's called the Hymn of Promise. In the bulb, there is a flower. In the seed, an apple tree. In cocoons, a hidden promise. Butterflies will soon be free. In the cold and snow of winter, there's a spring that waits to be unrevealed until its season. Something God alone can see. There's a song in every silence, seeking word and melody. There's a dawn in every darkness, bringing hope to you and me. From the past will come the future. What it holds, a mystery, unrevealed until its season, something God alone can see. So in our end is our beginning. In our life, eternity. In our death, a resurrection. Something God alone can see. That is her legacy that she has left for you and each one of you in this room that was a part of her or knew her. I didn't mention that she was a member of the Daughters of the Nile, I don't think. I knew that Letha was, and it wasn't until this week that I really realized that she was there, because she's not been in that temple since I've been there. But for each one of you, you are in my prayers. Laugh. Find things that you can remember that were funny, to take away those sad times that will wash over you and be with you. Again, I'm a phone call away. Let us pray.